Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. I know it's a bit late, but thank you very much. We think tonight is really important because Key Stage 3 students have very important exams coming up in January. And it's really important that we talk to parents about what we're doing as a school to ensure that we're supporting students as much as possible so they can prepare well for these exams. So Mr. Reagan is going to take you through what's going to be happening in school, but more importantly, what you can do at home to make sure we support your children in making sure that they're successful in these exams. Just to kind of give you a quick update, things have been going really well this half term. Touch wood, so far, we've had very few cases in terms of COVID, so most pupils are in school. I'm sure your sons and daughters may have told you that I've not been in school last week because I tested positive. So my isolation period is coming to an end tomorrow. I've been doing very well. I've been very lucky not to have serious side effects. But in terms of staff, nearly all our staff are in school and all the students are there. But please, can I just stress that you remind your children to wear a mask to school, particularly if they're taking public transport, because between now and Christmas, we think cases will spike, and the last thing I want is for students to take that virus home over Christmas when you want to celebrate as a family. So in terms of how tonight is going to work, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Reagan shortly. You will be able to ask questions in the chat function. So if you want to ask any questions, we have the heads of year also online. I will be moderating the chat function. So if you want to make any comments or ask any questions of myself, Mr. Reagan, or any of the heads of year, you put that in the chat function and I'll be able to answer those questions at the end. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Reagan now, who will take you through the purpose of today. So Mr. Reagan, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Key Stage 3 Steps to Success evening. I'm going to speak to you about the upcoming exams, which for many Key Stage 3 parents are the first set of January exams at Lambeth Academy. So the lead up to the 10th of January, which is when the exams start for years 7 to 10. I think a really important thing to remember through all this is that a student who feels prepared for an exam actually looks forward to opening that paper and beginning it. Students love a quiz or a test when they know the content. They should feel like they have the tools to be excited about the exam like an athlete would walking up to the starting line, like, yes, bring it on. I want to show my teachers everything I've learned. So we have already begun to talk to students about exams so that they feel ready and so that they feel in control of their own exam results by being prepared. So at Lambeth Academy, we explicitly teach revision methods and issue flashcards. We are really clear with students that copying endless notes or highlighting are ineffective revision methods. Teachers will give in lessons guidance such as, oh, this is a really important piece of information. You could put this on a flashcard when you're doing your homework. In tutor time and in the revision launch that the heads of year will be doing, we teach how to actually use flashcards, not just to write information on them, that's making them, but when you actually use them and quiz yourself or you test each other with a partner. We are constantly reinforcing messages about healthy habits for studying, both in the lead up to the 10th of January and also when the exams are going on. 8 hours sleep, eating food that gives slow releasing energy, so avoiding high sugar, high caffeine, removing devices and screens so that at bedtime students can really switch off. We also are frequently talking about mental health self-care. We know that it's really important to stay mentally well by doing things like taking walks, doing things you enjoy, making sure that you are looking after your own mental health to stay well, because we're aware that students will feel under some pressure. After the exams are sat and our staff mark them, the students' results will be out. The scores are then added up and we publish the ranking of all students based on their combined score across their exams. So there will be a rank order reveal for year 7, a separate one for year 8, a separate one for year 9. Literally every mark counts because all the students' exam results are added up and they're ranked in their year group. This is an important part of our school culture. The day of the rank order reveal is a dramatic day in the school calendar and the buzz is felt across the school. All Year 8 and Year 9 students will know what position they were in the rank order last time and know what subjects they need to improve this time around to move up the rank. It gives students a real sense of accountability. They know where they're placed and they know where they need to get to and what they need to do. We also anonymise with numerical codes the last 30 students in the rank so that nobody is embarrassed about their position. After the results, students' classes will change. So students in 7L, 8L and 9L are the top 30 in their year group for combined attainment across all their subjects. Students in 7A, 8A and 9A are the next 30, etc. Their maths, English or science set could change too. Reports will be sent home to families around February when the results are in with your child's percentage scores. And it's one of our great pleasures giving commendations, awards and certificates for the students who have the best scores across subjects to celebrate their hard work. And alongside this, an important part of my job is to analyse the data to see who is in need of extra support in certain subjects and how we can bring them back to their expected levels. Mr. Rowe, Miss Chowdhury and Miss Amiri have distinct foci when speaking to their year groups at line-up and in assembly. In Year 7, we are completely focused on guiding your child through a smooth transition from primary to help their confidence grow and rise to the challenge of secondary school. In Year 8, we teach that integrity is doing the right thing, including socially and with schoolwork, even when no one is looking. Students are encouraged to take up as much enrichment as possible to broaden their educational offer. And in Year 9, we give space for regular introspection. Miss Amiri is constantly asking her students to think about where they are and where they need to be. So students ask themselves regularly, am I giving the best version of myself? And more importantly, am I really ready to transition to Key Stage 4 as I am? Or do I need to make some adjustments? Year 9 is focused on looking inward and looking ahead to GCSE options. This is a lovely photo we took at Year 9 graduation in June last year of Savannah and Mishika. Really proud that they were Year 10 ready. The banner behind them says Class of 2021. And this will be all of your children when they are ready at the end of Year 9 to graduate into Key Stage 4. Throughout Key Stage 3, we continuously support our students to get them to the point where they are resilient and hardworking enough to cope with the challenge of GCSEs. The Back on Track programme has been running for this term for students in Key Stage 3 with gaps in their learning that we identified from the summer exams. They have some extra specialised English and maths support after school. Homework Club is open for all students 3 times a week where they can do their work at school. And additionally, for students with additional needs, there's a smaller homework club that takes place in the library where other adults are present to help them. Graduation from Key Stage 3, which is the celebration in the photo behind, is a process that starts in January. We'll be looking at everybody in Year 9's data and assigning them a special colour group according to what they're working on, their targets to successfully graduate. And then we will monitor their progress throughout Year 9 and they will choose their GCSE options in March, and eventually they'll have a ceremony where they graduate in July. The start July 2022, and the start of their GCSE curriculum will be in September. It's really important at this point as well for me to say that we have a lot of pastoral support available for anybody that needs it. Our wellbeing service offers cognitive behavioural therapy for 8 sessions for anyone who's struggling with low mood or anxiety. And so many children have benefited enormously from the strategies they learnt in that process. Our students with additional needs, with special educational needs and disabilities, have lots of extra support from our really specialised inclusion team, both from some after-school withdrawal and constant support in lessons and check-ins to see if they need anything extra. When your child receives their revision checklist, which I will talk to you about very soon, they will also come home with, for the first time this year, a Key Stage 3 subject guide. This will be 1 page on each of the different subjects your child does. And it starts with how to further enrich your child's love of that subject if it's their favourite subject. What could they be reading? What could they be watching? Are there any exhibitions in London they could be going to? This is created by our subject leaders who know their subject better than anyone. It also says what to do if your child needs help with that subject. How could you support them at home if they really need more help with science, for example? And it's also a chance to show off our Year 13 leavers who have excelled in that subject. So this is an exemplar from maths, which is what I teach. So that's why I knew how to create this fluently. As you can see, you will have a bigger version at home. I've included a screenshot of where in their book you could find how to look up the tasks they need to practice online. And it also has Miss Otham's email address, who's the head of maths, as it will for every subject, so that you can contact somebody if you're struggling to support your child in that subject. This will come home to you in the first week of December with your child's revision checklist. Your revision checklist is the same as other years. I'm just going to show you what that will look like with an example from geography so that you know what to expect. So this is a screenshot of the Year 8 January Geography Revision Pack. The topics to revise, it says at the top, are coasts and tectonics. And Miss Perry, head of geography, has put what you could be doing to support your revision. So it says there a Seneca, a specific sheet, the exercise book, and a link to the Oak National Academy. Miss Perry's email address is also there. Then on the revision checklist beneath, it says exactly what knowledge your child will need to know before they go into the geography exam. And you can see on the right, there's a red, amber and green box. So your child will go through at the beginning and decide whether for that exact piece of knowledge, so for example, what causes waves to form, would they place themselves at red, amber or green? Then as their revision progresses, they might be able to change that red to amber or change those ambers to green. Alongside the revision list, this is a very small screenshot, I know, is a much more detailed list. This is the 100% sheet of all the knowledge that they need to know for that exam. But to put it in perspective, your child is just being examined on 1 term of work. So that's why this revision list makes it feel more manageable for children. They can see, I just need to make sure I know those things before I go into my exam. So as an example of what your child needs to learn over this half term, I'm hoping Miss Lowe will be able to jump in at this moment. Miss Lowe, can you hear me?
Madam, Miss Lowe is just having some issues logging in, so Sir will make her a presenter. So if you want to go on to the next teacher, then that should be fine. No problem. So we'll come back to Miss Lowe's presentation about science shortly. I'm now going to talk about culture and enrichment because we are not an exam factory at Lambeth Academy. We are committed to developing the whole child, increasing their confidence and their love of learning through our cultural and enrichment offer. So here are some examples of the way that as a community we want to build that within our school. It was so wonderful to see so many of you at International Evening on the 21st of October. For those of you who couldn't make it, it's a must for next year. It was a real buzz of everybody's food and dress from their home country and lovely musical performances. Your child may have been already on a trip to the Globe Theatre to see some Shakespeare. Our sixth formers have been to the Tate Britain. Duke of Edinburgh has run for Key Stage 5 students, and the golden postcard trip to Thorpe Park is coming up very soon for everyone who's got 10 postcards. We are really proud of our enrichment offer. All Year 7s and 8s after school have compulsory enrichment, and there's also lots of extras, sports and music for all year groups. If your child is unsure, these are all posted on the door of the PE office, and lots more up in music that your child can be getting involved with. We also are really proud of our performing arts offer. Year 7s took part in a Green Love musical performance alongside lots of other United Learning schools.
Moana, our school production, is taking place in February. And in the last week of term is the LA Winter Showcase for all of our musicians to show what they've been working on. Miss Pearson is working, our music teacher, is rehearsing furiously with the choir already every morning. A really important part of our school culture is the house competitions. These are taking place every week at break time, and it's wonderful to see all the different students getting involved with table tennis, spelling, Connect 4, and it's fantastic to see the leadership of our sixth form students and our year 11 prefects running these competitions and encouraging younger students in their house. Finally, something else that we've been doing recently to expand our sense of community is outreach work with primary schools. Many of your child's primary school year 6 children have come in recently to have, for example, a science or a music lesson with our staff. And some of our teachers are going out to the primary schools as well, so that all of our feeder primary schools can feel what the culture's like at Lambeth Academy. On the right, you'll see a list of all the different enrichment options that year 7 and 8 have at the moment, and many of those are also available to year 9 students, but for 7 and 8 it's currently compulsory because it's really important to us that students learn outside of the classroom as well. Mr. Wilson, should I pause there for Miss Lowe to come back in?
No, I think we're having some technical issues, madam. I'll let you know when she's back online.
Okay. The final thing I wanted to talk to you about is our rewards. We are constantly rewarding students for their efforts so that they know their hard work is being noticed. Our students know that we are proud of them for doing the right thing. So at the moment, we're starting already to issue certificates for our bronze award winners for their merits. These are the students who are getting 50, 60, 70 merits already, even though it's still only November. Each week, Mr. Rowe, Miss Chowdhury and Miss Amiri give their awards for students that have really impressed them this week and put up emails showing the good news that they've received from teachers. Students love seeing what their teachers are saying about them. A new type of award that's come into force this term is the Scholars Award. This is for students whose books are absolutely outstanding in their presentation. Some of your children might have received a half-term star. Now, this award is for the child who is consistently doing the right thing every single day, perfect attendance, working hard. Every single member of staff nominated 5 half-term stars, and these were awarded in the end of half-term assemblies in October. This will happen again in December, and it was a really good way to reward those students who are doing the right thing every single day. We have also introduced the head of year lunch and the principal's breakfast, which is an invitation for students who are really, really impressing their heads of year. And of course, as previously mentioned, the golden postcard trip, which is for all students who've received 10 postcards. They have a golden postcard delivered by Mr. Wilson, and then there's a trip in December to Thorpe Park. Because in the build up to exams, our heads of year and all teachers will be encouraging students to keep working hard so that they can feel a real sense of achievement as they complete exams that they are well prepared for. The encouragement that we give them is more important than ever as we lead up to the 10th of January. So the next steps for all of our Key Stage 3 students and parents are that revision checklists and the new subject guides will be sent home in 2 weeks' time. The last week of term will be the end of year celebration assemblies, where the heads of year will be able to reward all the students who have been working really hard all term. We look forward to seeing your child again well rested on the 5th of January, ready to start their exams for years 7 to 10 on Monday the 10th of January. I'll now hand over to Mr. Wilson if we have any questions.
No, so what I'll be asking parents to do now is if you want to type any questions in the chat function, we're happy to pick those questions up. We're still trying to get Miss Lowe. I think there's some technical issues, but we're still trying to invite her in because I'm sure she'd like to talk to you about what Key Stage 3 pupils need to cover in science. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type that in the chat function. And Sham, if you could try and invite Miss Lowe directly as a presenter, we'll see if that works.
Cool. If not, I can email you what I was going to say, and you can just read it.
Right, so I'm just looking to see if there are any questions, Mr. Reagan. Nothing at the moment from parents. But I'm glad you touched on the fact, I'm glad you touched on the point about us not being an exam factory. On the 9th of December, the 9th and the 13th, I've booked 77 places at Winter Wonderland for students at Lambeth. Now, all those places have been taken up. Now we are going to go back and increase the places up to 100. It's all paid for all pupils, and also lunch is included. So that's something that I have to pay for, which isn't going to be very cheap, but we know how hard our pupils work. We want to make sure we reward them for all their hard work. Any questions that parents want to put in the chat function? If you put that in the chat function and just click submit, that will come through to us. We'll be able to read those questions out if you have any specific questions. Give it another minute or so, Mr. Reagan, before.
Very exciting about Winter Wonderland. That's hot off the press.
Yes.
Kids will be delighted.
That's going to go up to 100 pupils. The 77 places went really quickly in 9 days. So we are going to book another 23 places. So students will have an opportunity to join. So we will see. No questions coming through as yet. I think something has just come through. Let me just check really quickly. Okay. So there's something here from Miss Lowe, really, just saying that students will be given a checklist with all the key information on what topics they need to revise, and useful websites like Seneca, students should be using to revise, and also Oak Academy. The pupils should be familiar with these two websites, as they've been using it for homework. Year 7 must revise their particles and energy topics. They have studied, they're studying at the moment. More detail about the topics Year 7 are doing will be in their checklist. Year 8 will need to revise digestion, ecology, and the periodic table. Year 9 will be revising reactivity, the biological system. So all this information will be in the checklist. Now, Ms. O'Regan, we have some questions, great, that are coming through. Can parents have some materials which we can use to help prep for the exams? So can parents have, for example, I take that might be past paper questions. Is there anything that we can do, Ms. O'Regan, to make sure parents can help at home?
Certainly. So all the different subject leaders for different subjects are providing different types of materials depending on what's best for that subject. It's really important to us that there are mark schemes available so that the family can mark the child's revision as they go. So for that reason, a lot of the websites are really valuable because they self-mark. So for maths, because I'm a maths teacher, for Sparks, the child will know immediately if it's correct, and there is a YouTube video showing how to do each task next to it. So we have modernized in the pandemic, and we know that these can be a really good way for parents to support with revision, but equally for some subjects like English, which doesn't lend itself as well to that kind of platform, children will be given a physical pack as well. Miss Lowe was also going to say, when I caught up with her at the end of school, that any student who wants to get started early, their science teacher does have the physical resources. If they want to get started ahead of time, they can just ask their science teacher. So that tells me that in science, Miss Lowe has already prepared the physical booklets that children will be doing.
Great. Another question through, you mentioned exam period starts January 10th. How many exams do they have, and how long is the exam period. So I could take that if you want. Exam period is 2 weeks, and the pupils will have exam in all subjects that they study except PE and so all other subjects, and they will be given an exam timetable. So again, that will be sent home. They will have about 2 exams per day, and some days they may have 1, some day they may have no exam. So it will span over a 2-week period. Mr. Reagan, if my child misses a day due to illness, how will they catch up?
We run catch-up sessions after the exam window. So if we could do it in the 3:15 to 4:15 slot is what we normally do to avoid your child missing further lessons after the exam period, because those lessons after the exams are really important feedback lessons. So we wouldn't want any child to miss that because teachers will reteach based on what students couldn't do. So where possible, the first day that they're back in, they would sit the exam probably at 3:15 if that was suitable. We always run a catch-up schedule though.
Yes, there's another one here. Can we get a video of tonight's session that we can rewatch? Yes, it is being recorded. So we will post this on our website and we will send the link to all parents. So no, that's a really good point, just to go back if there anything that you need. Question here in terms of Key Stage 3, Mr. Reagan, asking how can we help at home? I know you talked a little bit about the packs that teachers will provide, but what about books that parents can buy from WH Smith? So Key Stage 3 books.
Definitely Key Stage 3 books are helpful, and I think to make that less overwhelming and more manageable, the revision checklist will tell you exactly what knowledge needs to be covered. So for example, in the one Miss Perry had that I showed a screenshot of, it was exactly about how waves are formed. So that can allow families to just look at that subject. What we don't want is parents going through the whole revision guide and not knowing which bit will be relevant, when actually we're only really talking about 14 weeks of learning that your child is going to be tested on in January. So I think those books can be really, really helpful alongside the topic lists. And you will have the email address of the subject leader in the Key Stage 3 subject guide. So that means you could just email if you weren't sure if something was relevant or not.
Great. There's a really good question here. Apart from the materials that will be sent home, will there be like a tutorial class on how to revise efficiently and practice the questions?
We have created that for the students, but I think it sounds like a really good idea, thank you, for us to share what we give with students with families. So I know that Year 10 had their revision launch today, and the ones for Key Stage 3 are taking place very soon. And lots of them have very clear instructions about what bad revision looks like. I said about copying out or highlighting, and what good revision looks like. So thank you for that suggestion. We'll send home what we present to students, to families as well.
Yes, and leading up to when we get back, so the last week of term, teachers will structure their revision, the lessons around revision, and also that first week when we come back, those lessons are going to be used to help students prepare for the exams that are starting on the 10th. So we're making sure we do everything to make sure pupils are successful in these exams. Just one parent here was a little bit concerned that it's too dark for subjects to happen after school. I do take that point. We will try and do as many of the catch-up as possible in the school day. What we don't want to do is to overwhelm students by having 3 exams back-to-back each day. So we will try and avoid after school, but there may be times when probably once in the week that they may have to stay to do 1 paper. And each exam is roughly 60 minutes for the students. How many subjects will students be expected to choose for their options, please? So that's a really good question. That's looking ahead to February, March, around that time. Pupils, depending on the pathway they're on, pupils will get a choice of up to 3 subjects that they can choose. So depending on pathway that students are studying, if they're on the EBAC pathway, then they have to choose a language, they have to choose a humanities, and then they have an open bucket. but generally students have 3 subjects that they can choose in terms of options. Mr. Reagan, a question here. Do you guys have extra classes to support them, especially in maths? You probably want to talk a little bit about the maths homework club, the Spark club that we run as well.
Yes, so the good thing about Sparks, our homework platform, is that it's unlimited in how much work students can do, and it can be targeted. So the way that many students use Homework Club is to revise something specific that they didn't know how to do from the lesson on Sparks. And every day a maths teacher is assigned to be kind of on call, because the maths department is next to where the homework clubs are on the same corridor. So on Sparks, if you don't know how to do it and you click seek help, then the student could show their teacher, I'm at this stage, and then they're excused to go and knock on the door to see which maths teacher's on call, because we know that a video is not as good as having somebody explain it in real life.
Great. Thank you very much. I think that's all the questions we've covered. I'll just give it another 20 seconds or so if there are any questions right at the end that parents want to submit. Would also be useful just to find out from you who are still online whether you found this useful tonight, and this is something that you think we should do again for the exams that are coming up in June. Or are there anything specific, more specific, that you wanted to hear from us? So if you want to kind of put that in the chat now, just to say whether you found tonight useful, that'd be really helpful for us to have some feedback, and also whether this is something that you feel that we should repeat in June, because of course the students do exams twice a year, in January and in June. There's a question that just come through. Will there be any extra lessons or extra classes during the holiday to assist in preparing students for the exams? Because we're coming up to Christmas, I'm pretty sure that many of you might not be too excited about us trying to do Christmas revision classes. So the answer is for Key Stage 3, no, we won't be running any revision classes over the Christmas holiday. What we are going to be doing is making sure that we give the students as much help as possible in preparation for the exams in January, but no extra classes over the Christmas break. Any other questions? No? Well, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope if you have any further questions, like Mr. Reagan said, the names of the teachers, the heads of department, are in the booklet that we're going to be sending home to you. Please get in touch, or if you want anything from tonight's meeting that you're not clear about, our heads of year will be on hand to answer any questions that you may have. We want to make sure that we prepare our students really, really well for these exams, because we want them to be successful, and we also want to show you how much they're learning and how well they're doing at Lambeth Academy. Thank you very much for coming. I've had a few comments through to say they found tonight really useful. That's really good to know. And again, just a big thank you to Mr. Reagan and to our IT team for making this possible. We will be online for another few minutes, but if you have any other questions that you want to type into the chat, Mr. Reagan and I will be happy to answer those. But again, thank you very much for logging on. I know how busy everyone is, but we also understand that your child's education is the most important thing. Thank you very much. Goodbye.